All right, there it is.
Okay, hey, welcome everybody to ICT. What is the date today, Jason? I'm here with my boy Jason, who will periodically be with me.
Today is
What is,
it's January 14th, man. It's my son's birthday. 18 years old today.
Damn, 18 years old.
Yeah.
That makes you an old guy, don't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does.
Do you feel older when you think of it like that?
No. To be honest with you, I don't feel like I have. I don't feel old. I'm not. I mean, as far as parents go, I feel like I'm a young parent anyways, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't feel old in any sense, man. I think about people who are like, man, just, when I just wake up, and I don't. I feel good. To be honest with you. So it's
good, man. That's good. Like, this transition of time that went by of 18 years since you had your son, like, I know when I had my daughter, like, I can remember that day so specific. Specific day is just like time stood still, you know. And I held her, and she was so little, and man, she came out 6 pounds 8 ounces, and I remember just holding her, maybe 8 hours after she was born, and I could just look into her eyes, man, and it was just the most amazing. Experience within myself and my own spirit, man. I don't know how to really convey it to you, like, other than to ask you, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, man, there's that connection. I recently just had that too with Emily, with her kid, man. Just holding this baby. Yeah. Not my baby, but it's just, and you see everybody around that, and you have this sort of, and you just see that innocence, and you see a lot of, like, and I remember that with my kids too, all three of them when they were born. And then it is weird and cliche when you have this moment with them, and you're like, there's a lot of being scared, but there's this, you look, like, I look at it like this, like, they just came from the other side of the veil, like, in a sense. So it's weird to have these little beings and you're just going to nurture them. And then of course there's the fear of all the other things that, you know what I mean, like,
that go along with it.
Yeah, like, you're going to try and be, you know what I mean. Now that they're 18 or 19, I think about, like, mental health. I think about, like, how did I do? Yeah, like, like, they're going to go through these things, and how are they going to cope with them? And that really scares me, and in a lot of ways, man. And it's just like, I'm hoping that that my experiences and that, with what I've gone through, and when I talk to them about with the spirituality and mental health and all that stuff, like, how important it is. Because they're coming of age still. They still have a ways to go.
Well, they definitely are. They're coming of age, but I mean, 18 is still a kid. I know, and maybe you could relate to it. Like, when I was 18, I felt like I thought I knew it all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I had it all figured out, and you couldn't tell me nothing. And the truth of the matter is I think I wasn't intelligent. I was an intelligent young kid. You know what I mean? And I had a lot of attributes that were positive, and to some degree, perhaps I utilized them, but on the overall, if I were to look back at it today, talk about cliche, I mean, it makes me want to say, like, wow, talk about doing it over.
Right, yeah.
Right. Doing it over, like.
Right.
Which is an impossibility, we can't go back and change the mistakes. But then again, I find myself asking, bro, like, would you really change the mistakes? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I think about that all the time. And I think that it's like, it's got to be a definite no. When you get to a certain age, you look back and you say, well, no. I mean, there's a point in your life, I think, where you're like, man, I wish I could have. Then there's a point in your life where you say, I'm glad I did. And it's because of these experiences we can pass along. Because if we don't go through it, somebody's going to, and I'd rather it be me than...
Right. And I think that a sign of true maturity that I started to see in myself, probably around my mid-30s, is when I could look back on my life, see the mistakes, the patterns of, impulsive decisions, and, just generally wrong living. And when I was in my mid-30s, I could turn around and look at that and be like, you know what? No, I wouldn't change it now. Because there was a long period where I felt like, oh, if only I could change it.
Right.
when I sat in a prison cell, I used to have some of the thoughts like, if only I could change it.
Right.
I feel like, it's a step of some real maturity finally in my mid-30s where I could turn around and accept that and own those things that I did, and not necessarily feel ashamed of them, and nor want them gone because of the degree of, I guess you would say, learning that it taught me. Overall, it was just a great experience, man.
So far, it's been. That's the way. It's just like, how do you look at it? There are people our age that still have that. They still have that. I wish I could, and I think that's where they lack a lot of. I don't know what you would call that, but to me, it's like all my what you would call mistakes, or to me, I just look at them as lessons, and I feel like I'm a greater person because of them, even though I'm still struggling at times, with life,
Yes.
But I look at it differently, and that's how I want, like, our children to look at it, our kids. I wish that I would have had more of a spiritual look, and not, just an outlook or something deeper, or a deeper meaning in my life. That back then, I don't know if that's something we could teach, or if that's something that just comes along with life experiences. But it's like, I wish that's something I do try and talk to my kids about, or the youth.
I would say, man, I think it's a little bit of both for sure. I think to some degree you can teach it, but at the end of the day, I think we both know it's up to them to accept it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I had a lot of periods in my life where all of a sudden I was sparked by sort of a spiritual experience, I guess you would say, and kind of would draw me closer to the God of my understanding, like, and then vice versa, I would always fall back out, and back into the same routine of negative behavior and stuff, accumulating regrets, so to speak. And it would take some kind of usually running my life into the ground, bro, and thinking there's no way to come back from it, even,
Right.
It's that bad at points.
Yeah.
And then strangely enough, man, it's like those are the times that, like, I'm able to sit still long enough to hear God speak to me again.
It's almost like, I feel like and how, it's just like how God, the way that I see him also, I know that others might, but it's almost like he puts you in that position to give you that time, to make you think, to make you have to have an understanding. Like, it's almost like you're forced.
Right.
When you hit that rock bottom in life, or
Right.
that moment where it's just like, maybe you're left alone, maybe everybody sort of in your life has sort of gone their own way, whatever that is, and you're just sort of forced to just sort of have those moments. It's clarity.
Sort of makes me think, right? Now that we're touching on it, it made me think of something I thought of not too long ago, which is like, so we run our lives into the ground like that and just hit points of utter desperation, loneliness, despair, whatever the case. But it makes me think about when, okay, now I'm receptive to hearing God, right? And it's that idea of, like, kneeling down to pray, right? So I've always had a thing where, like, I struggled to kneel down to pray, and for a lot of my life I would be like, well, playing that game of like, well, I don't need to be any specific way for God to accept me, which is true. I believe that still, right?
Right.
But the kneeling down, I've come to see very recently, as something like, it's submitting my will willingly to God.
Yeah.
Which ultimately directs me on a path that is perhaps, his destiny that he has for me.
Yeah.
And meeting the fulfillments of that.
Yeah.
And a fulfilling life. On my knees, willingly. Now, the point is, paradoxically speaking almost, is if I don't do that, it's like, man, then God will drive my life to my knees.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If I don't willingly,
yeah.
he will put me there.
There's an experience that is not my personal experience, but my ex-wife, I just talked to her the other day, and she has always been sort of anti-religion. She grew up in a really religious family. She's really struggled with that for a long time. A lot of the she just had a problem with the sort of code of conduct that they have. Well, just recently she was talking about how she was in a moment. And I told her the other day because her daughter, my stepdaughter, had some surgery, but she was talking about a few months ago when she had those bottoms, and I said, I'm going to pray for you, and she goes, thanks. She goes, I prayed, and this is something that was wild to come out of her mouth. She said, I prayed for days a few months ago because she hit rock bottom. She had a lot of personal things going on, and she said, and it helped. It worked. And it was weird to me because she prayed. Like, if you knew her, man, it's just like,
yeah. I mean, I know people like that,
and that's
right?
That's that moment. And so
that's that moment.
She's open, and now she's sort of accepting these things. It's hard to, because when you talk about submitting, and that's essentially what you're doing, because you're so desperate. There's that, and that seems to be the time when we look out for something higher.
It's sort of as I'm finally waking up at a point in my life where, like, I want to hit my knees to pray and submit my will. Figuratively, and because I'm tired of running my life in a direction where God will allow myself to force me to my knees. Because that's what happens. So
it's like learning to just to do it. People have been. Look, here's the thing: my entire life, people have been submitting them and willingly, because that's and to me, I'm always like, well, why? What do you? But it's just like, because they see something, now I see it, it's just like, but it took...
Now I see it. And it took me running into a wall...
multiple times.
15 times,
Yeah.
Like with jet force.
Yeah.
So that's a reality, Anyway, for anybody listening to this out there, this is just a casual conversation. We're just kicking it out here in a beautiful park in Oregon. And, we basically, have no clue what we're doing, but we're putting this video log and podcast together, and man, it's just fun. It's just something for fun, and great conversations, discussing what, like the true importance of life, man.
Right.
Like anything that matters, man. That's what it is discussions of anything that truly matters. So anyway, I hope you guys tune in more. We'll be putting more out there. And, God bless you all.
God bless.